Hello CNN, it's Fred Karger, fresh back from the Sundance Film Festival. I was over there for 6 days for the premiere and the screenings of 8, The Mormon Proposition, which Reed Cowan made about all the Mormon involvement in Proposition 8, and I actually turned out to be a pretty integral part of the film. I'm in a lot of it because I really uncovered the Mormon involvement. It was an incredibly exciting experience for me. I'm pretty much the only non-Mormon in this film. There are a tremendous number of stories. Chris gave me a camera. I had fun interviewing a lot of people involved in the film, and take a look. I think you'll enjoy it. It was great.
The Mormon Proposition, and I thought it was a beautifully made movie, and more than anything I've seen in a long time, really illustrates the central struggle between love and the religious-based bigotry that we face in our community every day. But in this movie, love triumphs, and that is what is most exciting about this movie and what is most exciting about our movement for change right now.
Here at Sundance to view Proposition 8, the Mormon Proposition, and I can't tell you how important it is that we view this movie because it's timely in that our federal marriage case that's going on right now relates to what is the subject matter of this movie. How the LGBT community has to have the court's protection to protect its political power because of the broad construct of religious organizations that have been against marriage equality, and how the courts need to ensure that everybody's fundamental rights are protected, especially those that aren't able to get protection for fundamental rights through the normal political process. And that's exactly what's at stake here.
This film, I think, is going to have a big impact. It's going to expose a lot, and it's going to cause the politics in Utah to be changed, I think, quite significantly, because the spotlight is finally being shown on the political involvement of the Mormon Church in California and elsewhere.
We're here in Utah, just saw the film, and what a remarkable film, putting another human face, many human faces on the issue of marriage equality, and really aggregating a lot of information that was out there and distilling it in a way that people can fully understand and appreciate in terms of what the Mormon Church did to successfully advance Proposition 8, which ultimately took away rights that were legally granted to same-sex couples in the state of California by stripping away not only their rights by law, but changing the Constitution to do it. First time in the history of this country that a constitutional amendment to strip people's rights away was advanced against those that legally had them afforded. And so being here in Utah, as a mayor of San Francisco, I was wondering how this effort took shape so positively for their perspective, so negatively from ours. This film was pretty powerful and a big wake-up call, at least to me, in terms of what we're up against, those that believe in marriage equality, and a big wake-up call, I think, hopefully to others about the impact this has had on real people's lives. And I hope people that supported Prop 8 can appreciate that there's a human element to this, and I think that was well exemplified in this film.
I'm part of the movie 8, The Mormon Proposition. We had the premiere today. It was amazing seeing the story on the big screen. This is my partner Tyler, and our getting married and fighting Prop 8 and losing Prop 8 and feeling the indignity and the discrimination that resulted was a huge part of our lives. And to see that on the big screen and to be able to share that with so many people, especially here in Utah, with all the community here that was really involved in raising money and seeing that happen. Like, we want them to see what the consequence of that was, and hopefully help to prevent it from happening again.
And Tyler, your mom was in the film as well as you and Spencer, and very emotional parts of this movie. What was that like for you, seeing yourself on this giant screen at Sundance, at the premiere?
It was surreal. People keep asking me, you guys have had the last year to tell your story. Now you're here at Sundance on the big screen. Do you feel like, movie stars? And you mentioned my mom, and she's the real star of the film, and she gives it the emotional and the human aspect from the point of a mother who is out there to fight for the rights of her children.
I'm really grateful that Reed told our story. I think it's one that needs to be told. I am hoping, I'm here for all the moms, for the moms that maybe are afraid to stand up against not against it, I don't want to say that, it's not standing up against anything, their faith or anything, it's standing up for their children, and that's what this is about, is standing up for your kids and realize that love and loving your kids really is the most important part of this. And the way I see it, this film is not a gay film, it's not a Mormon film, it's not an anti-Mormon film, it's a film about separating church and state and what really happens when you don't do that, when we don't protect that, what our country was founded on. And I think that it's really important, again, the whole message of telling your stories. Let people know who you are, and moms need to start telling their stories of their kids.
Well, you said you kind of had your outing when you took all the petitions to the church right before the election. What was that like?
That was extremely frightening, very, very scary.
You can repeat, to explain what you did?
Well, what happened was we as LDS people at that time signed a petition and wrote letters to our prophet asking them to withdraw their gathering of the armies in the fight in California on Proposition 8. And we realized when we got there and saw the cameras, the news cameras, that it would be our coming out, that then my family, my neighbors would know that we were not happy with our church, and they would know that I'm a mom that is standing up for what I think is human rights, not just gay rights, but my children's rights, and that's what this is about. And so we knew that we were coming out at that time, and I think that's what's really important, is for moms to stand up and start telling their stories and start talking about their children, and so that people know that these are lives, these are families that are being affected. And that's the one thing we were always taught in the Mormon Church, that family is everything, and that's number one. And so for me, my family is everything, and my children are amazing. I have 2 gay children. And I will stand with them and stand for them every single time, and I wish more parents would.
I thought it would be. It's not attacking in any way. It's very revealing, however, and that's good.
And Bruce, you grew up Mormon, didn't you? And
yeah, I grew up in Idaho as a Mormon, and then I lived in Utah. I moved to Utah. I went to BYU. I was a Mormon missionary. I at one point was in a bishopric. And it took me a while. It took me a long time to come to terms with my own self-identity. So
what was this like, being a part of this movie and then having it be such a success, and probably the hottest movie of Sundance?
It's bittersweet, actually, because it reveals the pain, so much pain that's gone on for so long in so many lives that, in my opinion, is unnecessary. It's really good because it's finally, a lot of this is finally being told honestly and openly, and I think it's about time.
For me to be involved with Prop 8 and 8, the Mormon Proposition, is an honor. And being a small town boy from Ohio, a son of a preacher man, I was brought up to love thy neighbor, and Jesus loves me. And I don't remember any type of footnotes or anything saying that there was anybody that was being left out on that. It was, we're all equal, we're all human beings, and we need to love each other, and can't we all just get along?
I grew up Mormon. I served a Mormon mission for 2 years in Venezuela, where I was sent out to knock on doors to spread a message of love and compassion and understanding and charity. And the church that I saw in California with Proposition 8 implemented an egregious conflict of those ethics. And so I decided to make this film, which I consider to be my second mission, knocking on the door of the church this time. You know, I'm a straight man, but I've been fighting for equal rights for many, many years. And from within the church, as we show in the film, I heard tragic and horrible stories of lives that were ripped apart, families torn apart by the policies that were taught from the pulpit of the church, and policies that eventually became Proposition 8. One of the first stories I heard was of Stuart Mattis and his suicide on the steps of his church, and that really struck me, and I said, do I want my name attached to a church where this happens? And if so, what needs to be done to change so this doesn't happen again?